Well, hello. I'm the Frosty Critic and welcome back to another video. Today we will be breaking down theories and answering questions about Tenet, like why Kate didn't need a mask on the board, what is the algorithm, and more. So make sure you stick around until the end of the video. For more content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel and give this a thumbs up if you enjoy. Tenet opens with an opera scene that throws you into the movie at the deep end. But what exactly is going on here? It seems like the protagonist is part of a CIA operation to infiltrate the opera and secure the algorithm. He fails and is drafted into the Tenet organization after being double-crossed, having his teeth pulled out. But what exactly is going on here? Well, the protagonist was actually given the intel for this job by the future version of himself. This was so that he could not only ensure that he handed the algorithm over to Sayto, but also make it so that he met Niall and also showed he was willing to lay down his life. We learn from Eve that the mission is meant to be one that no one returns from. Eve even says that they can't afford having anyone left alive. Who knows what the algorithm is, and the fact that the protagonist takes the pill shows he's willing to lay down everything if need calls for it. This heightens the trust that he has for him and makes sure that he picks him for the job at the end. No other future version made sure that Sayto was able to collect the algorithm. Priya says that they actually need Sayto to bring all the pieces together so that they can then snatch it and split it up. The entire point is to trick Sayto into believing that his mission in burying the algorithm is successful, so his past version won't change anything. If he thinks he's going to win, the past Sayto will continue collecting the pieces in order to bring them together and carry out the plan that will allow the algorithm to be stolen. This is why the Tenet team want the explosion to go off, so that the past version of the character believes that his future self was successful. What is the algorithm exactly? We learn that the algorithm was developed in the future by scientists that discovered a way to fully invert the world. This would allow things like global warming and climate change to be reversed so that the future generations would not suffer the past sins. Algorithm is pretty much a bomb that when detonated will cause a massive spike in reverse radiation across the planet that forces the past to fold in on itself, wiping out all life beyond the consciousness of the future. The people of the future believe that it is possible to change things in the past, whereas we learn throughout the movie that simply isn't the case.
Wait a minute!
However, because the people of the future always try to change things, they will always make the algorithm an attempt to send him back so we can see the events of the movie play out. The scientists that created it realized that destroying the past would destroy themselves.
Oh my god! Wow!
And then she separated the algorithm and buried it, which is why where it was found by Sayto. He believes that once the algorithm is planted and then detonated, that all life in the past will be completely wiped out. Who exactly is the scientist? The scientist, Laura, is not the woman who will invent the algorithm. Priya said the turn site won't be discovered for generations. So the future that they're talking about is the distant future, probably hundreds of years from now. She will be long dead by then. Kate's son Max was not Neil because 1. Max is too young at the end of the movie to become Niall. He would need to grow up for about 10 years, then he would need to spend over 10 years inverted breathing canned oxygen to travel back to the events of the movie and to be the right age to be Niall. This is not possible but highly impossible. Niall doesn't seem like the kind of a person who would spend a third of his life in a shipping container. The protagonist recruited Niall in the past, and the goodbye scene Niall says you have a future in the past, implying that they have met in the past before the Opera House incidents. If Niall was Max, they would have met in the future. Niall says before he goes to his death that if the protagonist will go and see Kate. He also says not even from afar, which the character also denies. However, we know from the final that he did go back to London to check in on her from afar. I think Neil asked these two questions because he knows that the protagonist did meet Kate after killing Priya. The protagonist's mission and the whole point of his operation is to give Kate and Max a clean getaway. They were promised. This breaks a core tenant code of the operation. Everybody in the know must be killed at the end. No loose ends. But unknown to everybody but the protagonist, Kate and Max get a clean getaway. This is what becomes clear in the final scene where he kills Priya to cover for Kate. This ultimately sets the protagonist apart from Sayto, who kept them both captive. If the protagonist ended up recruiting Max later, after all, it would undermine his efforts. Why didn't Kate need to wear a mask on the board at the end? It's because she's in a sealed room which has a regular supply of oxygen. oxygen. Where did Kate go? Well, she hid away while her past version continued on the same path that she did. All Kate would have to do is lie low until the invasion scene in which the version of her goes to the past, and then she could pop out as there were no duplicates and continue living like normal. Why did the protagonist shoot himself? Well, the reason that he fires the guns at his past self isn't to kill him, it's actually to unload the entire thing so that it couldn't be used against him. From his point of view, we can clearly see that he knows it won't hit his head. He is missing on purpose to make sure no matter what, he won't be shot. Who is Eves? We don't actually know, but we do know that he was hired by Tenet in order to basically help the protagonist at the turn side and also be the person that leads the final. It was said in the movie that Tenet operatives should know very little about each other, which may also be the reason we don't know who he is. Well, those were the main points of the movies. Let me know in the comments if there were more which I may have missed. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching.